Hey Matt, how you doing?
Good, Rowan. Yourself?
Very well. I'm very well. How is everything? How are you? Thank you so much for coming on the show, by the way.
Yeah, everything's good. No worries. Thanks for having me on. Everything's going well at the moment. Obviously, not working with the current situation going on, but hopefully we're nearly out the woods now. So fingers crossed, get back to work soon.
Yeah, I imagine because I'm pretty sure at least boxing's coming back, or at least team sports or sports where you don't have to be in close quarters with one another, even though boxing kind of do. I suppose there hasn't been any rules relaxed in terms of being sports masseuse in those situations.
No, not at the moment. I think they're talking about maybe like July for a comeback for boxing. And I think maybe for my work in general, because I know that barbers and hairdressers and stuff are looking to open on in July as well. So obviously, we're maybe in close contact to people. I think we're probably going to be around that time as well.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm definitely looking forward to a haircut. As you can see from the trim, it's getting increasingly more mushroom-like. Um, it's supposed to have a fade. That's not a fade.
I'm the same. I look like a caveman.
Mate, you pull it off well though. Don't ever let anyone tell you differently.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Don't worry, pal, I'm here for you. So just to kind of kick things off, Matt, would you mind giving a quick introduction about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a massage therapist, and I work with predominantly professional footballers and professional boxers. Obviously, I work with the general population as well. And I've had my own business now for probably, I think, coming up to 2 years now. So it's things have moved quite fast for me, and everything's heading in the right direction. So it's good.
Indeed, I am doing my research like I invariably do for my guests. Yours has been incredibly inspiring in terms of your journey so far. Obviously, there's a lot of envy from everyone who does any research into you. I think I think it's been an amazing kind of growth from your perspective. But obviously, before we get into that. Why sports massage? When did you actually start, and what prompted you to get into it?
So started sports massage. I think it was probably about 2.5, 3 years ago. I would say now. And I got into it basically because I've always played sport growing up, and I used to get injured quite a lot. So basically, for me, I had no real guidance on how to look after my body and what the right recovery was and all that kind of thing. So when I left school, I had like loads of different jobs that I didn't really like, all not rubbish jobs, but just jobs that weren't for me really. And so I thought, well, what can I go into, which where I can help people not make the same mistakes, kind of thing. So that was how I kind of got into it, and obviously it's got I've got very far very quickly, which not most people would probably do. But so yeah, it's for me it's been a real roller coaster. When I started, it wasn't very big, and then after a few months, it sort of exploded for me, and all of a sudden I end up working with loads of top athletes. So I think it's a bit of a testament as to what a bit of hard work and taking a couple of risks can do for you.
Of course. And so you kicked off back in I think it was early 2018,
Around that time, yeah.
and that's when you first really that's when you started training to become a sports masseuse, or was it more in 2017? Not that it makes much of a difference.
I'm trying to think of the dates because I actually decided to do it whilst I was living in Australia, and I was earning really good money out there working in sales for a bank. And I decided, like, when because my 2 year visa was coming to an end, so I saved a bit of money, and I actually paid for my course before I got home. So I'm trying to think when I got home. I've been home about 3 years, so 2.5, 3 years, something like that. So it was literally as I got back in the January of that year, and I started it straight away. And it took me about 7 or 8 months to qualify.
Okay. That's incredible. So you came back, you were making incredible money in sales, and you had no inclination to want to do the same over here.
No, not really. I mean, the job in Australia, I fell into that by by mistake, really. I wanted to play football in Sydney, and I was hoping to sort of maybe get a bit of money, and but the club I ended up playing for, they said to me, they said, "Oh, we'll just give you a job." So one of I think it was the chairman of the club, he was like really high up in the company. So I just got a job on the phones, and it turned out because I was quite good at talking that I did really well, and I made a lot of money, but it wasn't for me. I was stuck in an office all day long, and even though I was good at it and I made money, it doesn't mean like I enjoyed it. I think it was just because of the situation I was in, and the price of living was quite high in Sydney. So if I wasn't earning good money, and I didn't, there was nothing else that I really could have done. Like I could have done like building site jobs and stuff like that, like I'd done in the past. But I'd sort of wanted to put that all behind me when I went to Australia. I thought, right, no more manual labour. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but
So
you've gone straight back in. You're in manual labour now, mate.
yeah, well, it is. It is. I tell you what, it's a lot harder than what people think. Actually, massaging. I don't know when to talk here because there's a lag. I keep thinking, are you going to
I
say
know,
something?
I know, it's really awkward. But I'm trying to do my best to just not say much after I finish speaking, just so I can let you go. But yeah, you were just about to say, but we'll go into that in a second, actually. So yeah, so naturally you were inspired as soon as you're out in Australia, not to ever get back into manual labour again. And obviously, when you came back, you wanted to try your hand at something different. But you said that sports massage was something that you went into because obviously you always got injuries when you were younger. But surely there must have been some kind of catalyst that made you think, boom, yes, why don't I just get into that? Was there a specific gap in the market? Was there a lack of people in the Northwest being sports masseuses, or what was it?
It definitely wasn't the latter. There's plenty of sports masseuses in the northwest, believe me. But no, I'll tell you what it was. But I set out to be. I wanted to be a physiotherapist, which I still might do in the future. So yeah, I when I got like I originally I planned to be a physiotherapist, and when I came back, I thought I hadn't studied for like 4 years or something. So I thought, well, rather than just trying to dive back into uni, I thought, why don't I do something that takes not as long and it gives me a good base to then move on into physiotherapy. So I decided to do remedial and sports massage, and it's sort of got like at the moment I don't really like. I want to be a physio in the future, but at the moment the business is taking off quite well. So I'm thinking, well, I don't really want to ruin what I've got right now. To cut it all back and go to university and spend like 4 years at university. So I'm sort of planning on doing that as I get older, and I've built quite a lot, and I've got the time, and I'm quite financially secure. That's the
Interesting. That's really cool, actually, and that's definitely something we'll come back to in a little bit. So naturally, you what I quite liked as well as I was pouring through your Instagram profile. It was impossible to find any kind of any dirt on you, Matt. It was impossible, mate. But I went through all of your profile, and I think the first thing that I thought was really inspiring was you reposted a couple of Facebook comments from, I suppose, clients who had such severe struggles with the pain in their shoulders. For instance, there was Doreen Atchison, and there was back in March 2018. I thought that was fantastic. And what I really like about what you're doing is that it's not about the money, it's not about the clout. It just seemed like it was there purely to help other people.
Yeah, with that one actually, that's funny because she was one of the first clients I ever had, and she only lived round the corner, and yeah, I helped her quite a lot, to be honest. And that's the good thing about this job. You do get a lot of job satisfaction out of it. Like I've been to people's houses where you walk in and they're struggling to like even walk to the door, and after an hour or a couple of sessions, they're up and they're moving about again. And because we've all been there. Like if you're in pain, like your quality of life goes down quite a lot, and it's all you seem to think about when you're in pain. So to be able to help people Um, it is really satisfying.
Um, and in terms of getting like Doreen and your first clients on board, what was your process there? Because obviously this was prior to you passing your level 5 exam, which obviously gave you the real clout to be able to go out there. But what was your process? How did you start building client base from scratch?
Well, it was actually really difficult for me in the beginning because I moved when I moved to Liverpool when I got back from Australia, and I'd been to school. My dad's from there, so I'd been to school there for about a year and a half when I was a kid. So I knew a couple of people, but I didn't really keep in touch with them anymore. So when I moved to Liverpool, it was literally starting from scratch. So the first few people were just sort of like friends of my dad's. And so for the first few months, it was really difficult. Like I didn't have any clients really, so it really like took quite a lot of building up. It was just trying to put myself out there as much as possible, like just getting chatting to people in the gym I was going to, and just slowly building up that way. I went to a running club a couple of times, and went training with a couple of football teams and stuff like that. So yeah, in the start it was very difficult, but obviously I was using my social media, but I didn't have a big following, so it was difficult to get clients that way. But it's like anything, it grew organically. It went from like a couple a week to then 5 a week, then 10 a week, then 15, then 20. So that's the way it goes. Some weeks you're still quiet. I'm still even quiet now. Some weeks it's just the way it goes. And another week you can't get everybody booked in, so it's part of working for yourself.
And did you do anything specific to start seeing that increase from 2 to 10, 20 a week? Can you remember any specific tactic you might have used?
I think I got better at rebooking people. I got better, like more confident with face to face clients. Like I wasn't really waiting for them to. At the start I was saying like, oh, if you need me again, just give me a call type thing. Um, but then I gained the confidence in my own knowledge to say, look, I need to see you again in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I would always be upfront and honest with him. I'd say, look, you maybe need to get in once a week, but obviously I know it's not the cheapest thing in the world, and I'm not in the business of trying to rip people off. So I was always fair with people. So I think that always went a long way as well, because people could see I was genuine and I wasn't just trying to rip people off and get as much money out of people as I could.
Yeah, people considerably undervalue transparency even today. I think it's something that's really growing. I mean, not only on obviously independent businesses such as yourself, but also in like kind of all the food that we eat. I mean, making sure that you have all the right ingredients on food packaging, and yeah, it's all about brand transparency, and it does go a long way, especially with your clients if you're upfront and honest, and that pays dividends, mate. And so it's really impressive that you had that kind of mindset so early on in your, I suppose, entrepreneurial journey, so it be. And so obviously from there, you went into work experience at Salford City, which is cool as hell. And that was in June 2018. What prompted the move?
The way that came about was I always I loved football. That was what I played growing up. So
Support the wrong team though.
why do you sport?
I'm a United fan. We're all based down in London.
Yeah, of course. None of you are outside of Manchester. None of you are actually in Manchester.
No, they're all blue supporters, aren't they?
Yeah, proper Manchester supporters. But the no, the way the Salford City thing happened was I wanted to get into a club, and I wasn't really bothered about money at the time. Well, I was bothered about money because I was skint, but I needed experience. It was no good just like trying to go out to people's houses when I hadn't been around the professional environment. So I wrote a list down of teams in the northwest, and Salford were actually the first team that I emailed. And with obviously they have like quite famous owners, all the former United players, and they got backing by Peter Lim, who's obviously a billionaire. and I thought they were getting a lot of exposure on the TV and stuff like that. So I thought I'll email them, but I just don't see it happening. Like they'll probably got people queuing out the door to try and get in there. And I emailed them, and a couple of days back, I got an email. I emailed them saying like, I'm looking for some experience. Can I come down, spend a few weeks there? And the head physio at the time, he emailed me back like 2 days later, and he said, "Oh, hi, yep, perfect. We start pre-season on this date. Come down." And because I didn't have many clients at the time, I just quit. I had a call center job when I got back from Australia, just while I was training and stuff. And I quit that job even though I had no clients, just so I could spend more time at Salford. Like all the spare time I had, I was in at Salford, even though I didn't have to be, and there was other interns in and stuff like that. I was going in like 4 or 5 days a week, and what turned out to like just be a little bit of work experience ended up being a full season. I ended up doing a full season, and then this season they employed me part time, so it's worked out well.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. So you were going in purely work experience, doing everything free of charge?
Yep, completely voluntary, 4 days a week.
I mean, I find it quite impressive because I think people, again, really don't put that much importance on giving away things for free in order to build up both a reputation and obviously get referrals. I imagine that over the course of that season, you were able to pick up a fair few clients. Well, we'll go into obviously boxing in a second, but within football as well, I noticed that you had. You managed to pick up Axel Twanzebe as well at one point. Did you give him a good massage, by the way, or was it kind of like an anti-Mancunian thing?
Um, yeah, I've only seen him once or twice, but yeah, I managed to. That was good. That's why it was like you said before. It was because I was working in football, and Salford have a lot of players who've played at a better level. So they've all played at a higher league, and obviously because Salford have got quite a bit of money, they can attract these better players. So I would start like about after about halfway through the season, a couple of the Salford players would say to me, "Oh, can you come round to my house?" And obviously they would know players from bigger clubs, and they're friends with people from other clubs. So yeah, that's how it sort of came about. Like there was, people. Football's a small world. There's always players who've played with someone, at every club. So that's how I sort of got into professional footballers. There's lads who've got friends who play at Blackburn, Wigan, and all kinds of places. So the Northwest is just a real good hub for anyone working in sport. And you go back to saying people not giving away their free time. I think for me that was like the most. I think probably the most important thing for me was money wasn't important. I was getting experience that a lot of people wouldn't have been getting, but I don't think a lot of people on the flip side of that would be willing to spend 4 days a week traveling to Manchester for nothing. Because people just want everything really fast, and it's not a fast game. It's especially in the sport world, you've got to be willing to put a lot of hours in for free.
Well, I mean, it's obviously paid off well for you, mate. So moving swiftly over from Salford City, you passed your level 5 exam with the Northern Institute of Massage back in August 2018, and it was from then on that you could really start pushing Matt Towey therapy at full capacity. I mean, I noticed you started doing home visits. You got yourself a cool little banner. I saw a few pictures of you with running events. Talk to me about that. How did you end up pushing your services out to other clients, like for getting referrals and things like that? For a second.
Like you said again, doing stuff like the running events. I didn't charge for them. So I would just go to the events, and I'd take like a little gazebo, a pull-up banner, and my table, and I just put a sign outside saying free massage. And I just like I a little tip jar if anyone wants to give me a tip. But so that these are all things that I was doing. I wasn't charged like I wasn't charging people that much at the start just to try and get a little bit of money through the door, even though I knew my skills were worth a lot more. But at the time, it was sort of like it got to the point where I was desperate for money. I was maxed out on credit cards. I was really like struggling. So for me, it was just trying to get people through the door. I was driving to people's houses. Even if someone from like an hour away rang me, I would go, even though I knew there was no involved. But I thought, well, they might refer me to two, three people where they are, and then I can build a client base up in that area. And then, that's how I sort of went about it. I never sort of writ anyone off saying they were too far away or whatever.
Wow. So you got to the stage where you were almost flat out broke, and you were still pushing and pushing just to get them referrals.
Yeah, I remember I came in one day, and I vividly remember it. I was sat in my bedroom at my dad's, and I have a bottle, like a money bottle, and I had about £5 in change, and that was like 20p's, 10p's, copper, and that was all I had.
Wow. And then what did you empty it out?
Yeah, I emptied it out, and I had to go. I went downstairs. I went downstairs with this money, and I said to my dad, because I was like sort of like too proud, you know what I mean? And I was actually quite upset at the time because everyone had told me not to quit my job, and it wasn't going to work. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, everyone's right. They're right. Look, I've got about £5, £6 in coins here. And so I had to go downstairs, and I was like, for a while, I was like, oh, Dad, can I have some money to go and like buy some shopping? That's the point it got to, and that's how much risk I was willing to put in, and I knew it was going to work eventually. So that I took a big risk, and thankfully, it's starting to pay off.
You said that you knew it was going to work to begin with. Talk to me about your mindset.
I I remember when I first started. I remember the day I came downstairs and I said to I spoke to my dad and I said, "Look, I quit my job. I'm starting up on my own as of today." And he said, "Well, what?" I said, "How are you going to do that?" He said, "You've got no money, you've got no clients." And I said to everyone I knew, I said, "Oh," and it's easy saying it now because I'm doing it, but at the time, like people will tell you, I turned around and I said, "I'm going to work with like good athletes. I'm going to work with top professional people." And I aimed for football first, and obviously then I got in at Salford and then started working with a few players who like playing the championship and stuff like that. And then I started moving into boxing then. And then when I got into boxing, I said, right, I'm going to try and get in with the best people I can at boxing. So I always just looked for avenues at which way I could get there, and I'm still doing that today. I had a conversation with a couple of people yesterday, trying to get involved with some big names for next year. So it never stops.
Big names for next year. Can you give us a little pointer, or maybe even like the sport?
Boxing and MMA. I'm looking to get in. Obviously, I'm in boxing already, but I'm looking to try and get into MMA next year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Obviously, once you'd, I suppose, was it whilst you've been at Salford City that you started going to like the people's gym and started spending time at boxing gyms?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the People's Gym there, which is Kieran Farrell's gym. Um, I actually didn't go down there too much. I only went there a couple of times, and that I ended up working with a guy called Terry Spencer, who's based out of Widnes, and he was sort of like in a similar position to me. Terry, he had his own little gym and a couple of guys who were just turning professional. So I was sort of helping him with a few other bits, like I was doing, some stretching and mobility with the boxers as well as the massaging, and I was helping out with a bit of the fitness stuff as well because when they're right down just starting, they don't have no money to pay people to do everything. They don't have the luxury. So I was sort of helping out, and Terry helped me a lot. I owe him quite a lot, and I was helping his fighters out in turn for not really a lot of money at the time, and So yeah, I started doing that, and then I looked around and I thought, well, right, I need to start trying to move up the ladder here now. So that's what I did.
So that was early 2019 that you went to the People's Gym, and so did you meet Terry at the People's Gym, or did you just randomly turn up at his gym at some point?
No, I met Terry through. There was actually, I said earlier that I didn't really keep in contact with anyone from school in Liverpool, but a lad who I actually knew from who I went to school with was boxing at Terry's gym, and he said, "Oh, why don't you, I'll speak to Terry. Why don't you come up?" So that's what I did, and then I sort of struck up a good relationship with Terry, and that's where it went from there. I didn't go back to the People's Gym after that. Um, just sometimes it happens. Sometimes you click with people. Sometimes you don't.
And so what was it? What was it specifically about boxing that drove you to go into that as a sporting industry versus sticking around in football and trying to explore that more?
Um, I think with football, it's obviously there's a lot of people involved. Not only like on the medical side, but there's a lot of players and a lot of different personalities and stuff like that. But with boxing, it's it's a lot more personal. Like it's very one to one. So when you've been working with someone one to one, and then you see the results at the end of it, it's a bit like when back to earlier when I said you go around to people's houses and you help them. That's what it feels like in boxing. Because you see the end product. I mean, obviously you're doing football if the team wins and stuff, but it's a really big collective effort in football. You've got managers, coaches, physios, masseuses. It's a big thing in football, but in boxing, it's a very small team. So I think I just like the fact of like just working one to one with people. I think I prefer that.
Yeah, I suppose you can see the results more directly, as you said, because you're in such close quarters. You can actually see the results of your labour, which is obviously, as we were saying earlier, part of the self fulfillment process.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And whether for me it's been like I've had both ends of the spectrum. I've been with fighters where they've won their first professional fight, and I've been with them, and I've been with obviously boxers who've won world titles on the biggest stage. So but to see it at both levels, it gives you a great sense of fulfillment and achievement on both.
And so at Terry Spencer's gym, you were working with what was it, John Dring and Billy Webb, and how did you suddenly jump from working with them, as I suppose they'd only just started their professional boxing career, to jumping over to, I think it was Isaac Lowe, Billy Joe Saunders to start off with. I think they were your first like really kind of big name clients, weren't they?
Yeah, well, Billy was not a professional, but he was just boxing amateur. But I helped him quite a lot, and John was just starting his professional career. But yeah, like you say, it was sort of like I like bypassed all the middle bit, if that makes sense. So I went from like amateurs and people just starting the career to all of a sudden next minute I'm working with like top 10 world ranked fighters, and obviously Billy Joe had already been a world champion anyway, and he was about to, I worked with him leading up to his second world title fight, and obviously Isaac's ranked number 7 now by the WBC, I think. So it was a very fast transition working with them.
So what was
It
what
was
was the
crazy to be
process?
honest.
How did that leap happen? Because I think that's the kind of formula for success that I think everyone would want to emulate.
The way I done it, I think it's sort of one of them things. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So all I literally did was I was on Instagram, and I messaged Isaac just off on the off chance, and I just said because I thought to myself, well, if I message Billy Joe or I message Tyson or I message anyone like that, they're not going to see it. And Isaac was sort of up and coming himself, so I thought, maybe he doesn't have anyone himself. It'd be good to, he looked like a good guy to work with. So I messaged him and I said, I am if you ever need any treatment anytime, just let me know. And I put my number on the end of it, and he rang me. He rang me that same night, and he said, "Oh, can you
What?
come?" Yeah, he said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you come to my house tomorrow?" So I drove up to Morecambe, which was an hour and a half away, and that's how it all started. So, and I said this to Isaac when we just got back from our last trip because he was with us, and I said, I owe him. Obviously, I was driving up there a lot for not much money to his house and stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm forever indebted to him for what he's done for me and the people he's put me in touch with. I can't thank him enough.
Yeah, mate, that's mind blowing. So, talk to me about your approach. You just messaged him. Was there, in terms of the message, it was just simplistic. Hey, I already work in boxing, or what did you say specifically to him? And yeah,
No, I don't even think I said that. I think I just literally put, "Hi Isaac, if you ever need any treatment, feel free to give me a call. I'll come up to your house." And that was it. I think I just said, "Give me a call." Put my number on the end, and he gave me a ring, and he said, "Right, how much?" And he actually haggled me down as well, believe it or not. And
he did.
but it don't matter. Like I've told him I don't think I'll ever charge him again now after what he's done for me.
It's invaluable, mate. It's invaluable. I mean, when you get someone of that at that level, taking on your services, and then naturally you're able to feed off their respective clouds, and what I find really impressive is how wily you've been when it's come to working with anyone. It's always been about reposting and taking photos and making sure that people know that you're working with these names. I mean, even when you're starting off with the smallest clients, it's all been about continually posting that content. I mean, was that initially your idea, or how did your content strategy come into it, I suppose?
Believe it or not, at the start I didn't really have one. I was not really like savvy with social media. I just thought, I knew how big of a tool it is, so I thought I need to start using it. And to be honest, for the most part, even up until I would say start of this year, I always got quite embarrassed about it because if I was working with big names, like when I started working with Billy Joe and all them, I felt like when I was with them, I didn't really dare get my phone out and be like filming and taking pictures and all that kind of thing. Um, but I thought if I keep posting like loads and loads of stuff on social media about it, people are going to think I'm arrogant. They're going to think I'm just trying to show off. In my head, that was the way I seen it. But then I thought to myself, well, this is the way you might. Like, if you had a shop window, you wouldn't have the shop window looking like shit, would you? So
you wouldn't have the shutters down to advertise it during opening hours.
Yeah,
would you?
you wouldn't have the shutters down. You wouldn't have the shutters down with spray paint all over it, would you? You'd have it all nice. So you are the shop window. You are the product. So you've got to be able to sell yourself.
That's good. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that's something that people don't often realize when they're starting off in a business, when you are the personal brand. They don't realize that there's so much more they can do, whether it be, because I know you started off by just posting things about just like back support posts. I noticed that you did one about don't put your wallet in your back pocket, if you remember that right at the start.
Yeah, God, yeah. Looking back now, they are so rubbish. Them posts, unbelievable.
So yes, we're just talking about obviously about social media. What I noticed as well, you said that you didn't really have a content strategy before, but what I did notice that you started doing is that you ended up getting yourself some branded jumpers and sweaters and starting to get some of your clients to hold them up on social media, which is very smart, mate.
Yeah, that was. I don't know where that come from, to be honest. It was sort of like a few of my friends sort of like made fun of me for that because it looked like what a footballer would do when he's signing for a club and hold the shirt up. But to be honest, I think I started doing that because there was no one else in the house to take a picture of us together, and I didn't have like a tripod to like put the self timer on. So I thought, well, if it's just me and them, I thought, what can I do to? So I thought, right, hold me top up with my logo on, take a picture, and put that on. That was where that idea come from.
Mate, wild, genius, because obviously they're already marketing. Hopefully they are actually wearing them out and about, man. But you've built up such a positive reputation and personal brand within boxing now that I'm sure they'd be very happy to wear those jumpers. So it's incredible. Well done, man. So
Thank you.
obviously going to touch upon by far the most important topic of the whole conversation, which is I was doing obviously my research into social media, and I noticed on the 14th of May 2019 specifically, I think that's the first time you had Tyson Fury as a client.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember that day well. I was absolutely shitting myself.
So talk to me about how that came about in the first place, because I know that you had this little carousel of photos, but the first one was just you and Tyson Fury, literally twice your height, which is well, he's probably
Yeah.
twice my height as well. To be honest, I don't boast at all, Gene. But you had that photo. So what? How did it go from just having that photo with him to suddenly having him as your first like massive client?
Yeah, pardon the pun. But I I'd been working with obviously Isaac and Billy Joe, but I was working with Isaac and he they were all like training at a hotel in Manchester. So obviously Ben trained Tyson, he trained Isaac, and he trained Billy Joe, and obviously Ben Davison was there as well. So Isaac said, "Can you come down and give me some treatment?" And obviously, because Billy Joe and Ben were there, it started off being them three, and then I met Tyson a couple of times. I didn't dare ask him. I was quite nervous about asking him, and I was giving Billy Joe some treatment one night, and there was a knock on the door, and it was Tyson. And he came in, and he was just sat talking, and then he said, "Can you come over to my room when you've finished?" And that's how it sort of started. It went from there.
and that was when you had your first. They gave him his first massage, or did you just go and have a chat?
Yeah, yeah. So I went in, gave him his first massage, and then from that, he was at the hotel for another month, and I think I was going down about 4 times a week to see him. So it went very full on very quickly with Tyson.
That's amazing. That's incredible. And what is it? Why did he? Because I know that before you ended up going to Vegas, he'd never taken a sports masseuse with him at all, nor a nutritionist, I believe. Was that right?
Mm. Yeah, he'd never took anyone with him, and to be honest, I was shocked that he didn't have anyone. And and I think obviously because he's such a big star, I think trust's obviously a big element with him. If he feels like he can't trust you or whatever, obviously he's not going to involve you in his stuff. So I think again it come back to I proved to him I was reliable. Like there was times where um, I was moving around like a full night of clients just to go and see Tyson, and like I remember treating him at like 11:15 one night in Manchester. So I just wanted to prove to him that I was just reliable, and that I would go above and beyond for him.
Damn straight, mate. Demonstrating that dedication. I think that's exactly what you proved to do at Salford City, and then you just continue to do it. And I suppose with all of that effort and hard work has come a huge amount of success. So, talk to me. How did you feel? How did he ask you to go to Vegas with him and join the Fury camp? I mean, that must have been the most incredibly bizarre and elated, incredible feeling, surely.
Yeah, well, it was strange because when I first started working with him, he had like I think he had 5 weeks left in England, and then he was going. This was heading up to the Tom Schwartz fight, so this was like the fight after the Wilder one fight, and I didn't go to America with him on that camp, and then he had another fight with Otto Wallin, and I didn't see him at all in that time, and then leading up to the Wilder camp, I went to his house a few times, and then literally 2 weeks before they were set to leave, he I went round to his house and he just asked me. He said, "Oh, do you want to come to Vegas with us?" So obviously, then I just didn't even think about it. I don't think I paused for a breath. I just went, "Yeah." But I got in the car, and this is going to sound really really stupid, but I got in the car, started crying. I couldn't believe it, honestly. I thought I had like a flashback moment of thinking, well, a year ago where I was, and then now I'm about to go to Vegas with the best heavyweight on the planet, and I just thought, how has it come to this?
Mate, I think that probably deserves a few tears. You've put in all that huge amount of hard work when a year before this you were emptying £5 in pennies out of a bottle.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just, and I think that shows. And I actually I say this to a lot of people. When you think it's, you know, you think you've got nothing left, and there's, you're about to fold, or you think, I just can't do it no more, because it does take a big toll on your mental health for sure. It is absolutely a struggle. The ups and downs you go through. It's a real roller coaster. So, but you just need to remember in the back of your mind that, like, things will get better if you put yourself out there. And look, everyone has days where they don't think it's going to happen. But you just need to stick in there and keep at it.
You do, and you're a stellar example of it being successful, mate. I mean, honestly, congratulations from the bottom of my heart. You've done so fantastically well, and honestly, just scrolling through your Instagram page is by far the most inspiring thing that I've done personally over the last week or so.
Thank you.
It's just honestly, I could feel like the journey. I could feel all the pain that you've been through. Obviously, hearing it and understanding it in more detail really reflects it in, I suppose, more emphasis. No, it's incredible. And obviously, this is an interesting one. So I was doing a bit of research, and I saw that you actually predicted the fight on IFL TV. There's
Yes, I
2 days
did.
before, seventh round knockout.
Yeah,
What?
that's,
How did
I know,
you,
I know.
did you
And
did you
I
did you
even
know that all of your work was only going to survive with Tyson until round 8, or what?
I I even predicted the punch he would use as well.
No, was it in the same episode? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I said it literally after. I said it'll be a seventh round knockout, and the Andy was interviewing me said, "What punch?" He said, "How's he going to knock him out?" And I looked at Tyson's trainer and I just said, "Oh, I don't know." And I started laughing, and I said he'll knock him out with a cronk 1-2, and that's what in the seventh round. And Tyson stepped back with a cronk 1-2, hit him, and then they threw the towel in. So
That's
I predicted the punch and the round. So I was hoping that wouldn't come to light, because I thought it looks a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah. But it's okay. Well, I won't ask you whether you put any money on it.
No, I didn't. I honestly didn't. I didn't. I wish I'd have put some money on it. I think I'd have won a lot of money.
Maybe, mate, a couple of pennies, mate. A couple of pennies more than that bottle jar of yours, bro. I mean, that is insane. It was such a weird prediction, but everyone knows that it was 2 days before, so it's not a problem. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have no idea, but no, that's unbelievable. And I noticed as well. You met Jorge Masvidal. You went to the Conor Cowboy fight, which was
Yep.
so cool. It's the most amazing Conor comeback. The shoulder, flattened nose, foot to face.
Yep.
See you later, Cowboy. Like, oh my
Yep.
days.
Good. Good
How was
night.
that? That must have been insane.
I tell you what, that was probably besides the fight with Tyson and Wilder. I think that was definitely the highlight of my trip, because Conor McGregor is a bit of an idol of mine. I mean, I know he's done a few rash things in the last couple of years, but he's someone I have really looked up to, just for the simple fact that, when he started his career, no one really sort of believed he would do anything or go anywhere. And obviously, I'm nowhere near him, but the same sort of principle applied to me. That's the way I looked at it. Like, I was, I didn't have any money and all that kind of thing, but I like the way that he kept believing in himself. Like, he would, if you look back through his old interviews and his documentaries, he used to say exactly what he was going to do. Like, even before he was, no one even knew about him. There's him on video saying, like, I'm going to be a world champion. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And he went on and he done it all. So yeah, McGregor's like, he's a big idol of mine. So to go and watch him fight live was, yeah, I loved it.
No, that's fantastic, and I think this was the first fight as well, since obviously he went down to Khabib, and I know that this is also the first fight where he's actually approached it with just a huge amount of respect, which you have to have for Cowboy Cerrone at the end of the day.
Yeah, Cowboy. He's had a good career, Cerrone. I mean, he's sort of fell short every time he's tried to step up to that top level. But you know, he's a worthy opponent at the end of the day.
No, for sure. By the way, there's this. Have you seen the Joe Rogan MMA episode with Cowboy on? He gives the most tells the most amazing story because he does cave diving, and
I've seen
you've
I've seen
seen
it
it
where his mate panicked and he couldn't find his way out and stuff like that, and
found the
he
crack
didn't
in the
know
wall.
which way was up, which way was down because it was he was underwater. Yeah,
Mate,
I have watched that actually.
I've never been so immersed by someone telling a story in my life.
Yeah, you could feel the anxiety just from the story.
It was insane. It was insane. Right, mate. Okay, before we end, because obviously I'm very conscious for time, and I know I've kept you here a bit too long. What are you what's next? What's your vision? I mean, I know you've got Matt Towey therapy. Do you plan to maybe bring on some subordinates, maybe expand it into a real company? Or are you happy just the direction that you're going?
Yeah, but the way I was gonna try and plan it for this year, obviously that's all gone a bit backwards now. But I was gonna try and get into like office buildings, and I was gonna try and sort of tap into like the corporate world, like health and wellness days and stuff like that. So I was planning on expanding into that, and then I could have maybe brought a couple of people on board. But obviously everything's so up in the air at the moment. I don't really know if that'll come off this year. So I'm just at the moment I'm just gonna try and maybe see when I can start working again, build my client base back up, and obviously try and get back on another couple of fight camps, and then 2021, like I said earlier, I want to start maybe try and get on with a few other fighters in boxing and MMA. So that's hopefully what the future holds for me.
Exciting stuff. So at this point, mate, in the interview, I usually ask my guests to do two things. All right, if that's right with you. So number one, I need you to give me your best elevator pitch for Matt Towey therapy. Just imagine you're pitching to the MMA client or UFC client that you're seeking.
Oh goodness, you're really putting me on the spot now. I feel it. I've never, believe it or not, right, Rowan, I've never had to do a pitch in my life.
Well, now's your chance.
Oh God, what do you say? So, I feel like I'm on Dragon's Den now.
You got this, mate. I believe in you.
Is this going to go on? Is this going to go on?
Yep.
Oh dear. Well, if I was stood in front of someone, I would basically I would say to them, and do I have to say exactly what I'd say? I'll give you an idea of what I'd say.
You're basically just like a sales pitch. Imagine that you're speaking to Conor McGregor's agent or something like that, and you're trying to pitch Matt Towie therapy. What would you say? What would you say?
Oh,
10,
what
15
would I
seconds,
say?
mate. Come on.
I'd say, hi, I'm Matt Towey, the owner of Matt Towey Therapy. I've been working with elite level fighters for about 2 years now. I believe I bring a lot to the table. I'm punctual, I'm reliable, I'm very professional and trustworthy, and I'd love to be part of your team.
Short, succinct, and you don't even talk about what a massage is.
Now, look, let's say I'm actually sweating now. You put me on
Oh,
the
bless
spot
you,
there. I'm
man.
sweating.
I'm so sorry, man. I literally I do it to everyone. They never expect it, and it's always very amusing. It's always very amusing.
Uh, I tell you one time I've had to do that. Right, I had a job interview at QVC, the shopping channel,
Oh wow.
and they put us into teams, and they said, right, you've got to put a pitch together and sell snow to the Eskimos, and it was the worst thing I've ever done. I hated it.
Oh God.
I
Yeah.
couldn't put it this way. I couldn't as you've just seen, I couldn't put a sales pitch together on the spot, and I don't. Hopefully, I never have to do that.
Yeah.
I let my actions and my reputation do the work.
Well, yeah. You can rely on that now, my man. Or you can just employ
Exactly.
someone to do it for you.
Well, on the back of that, I think I should employ someone to do it.
It's fine. It's fine. Look, there have been worse. Might have been a few better, but there have been worse. So you're okay.
Just edit that out.
No, I'm sorry, I can't. I'll be doing myself a disservice. I'll be doing you a disservice. And it was a good pitch. It was a really simplistic, good pitch. It was cut. I'm going to stop
It
talking.
wasn't a pitch. It was just me begging, please let me in.
I want to move into MMA.
Yes,
Mate, and last but not least, man, could you do me a favour? Grab your phone, do a 180 and take a selfie with me in the background. Is that all right?
I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me. You're absolutely right. In which case, I'm going to do it because it's, yeah. That's
Yeah,
me. I
you
completely
do it.
forgot. Yeah, shit. Oh, goddamn squadcast. You're just screwing up the way I do stuff now. Now I'm going to feel how awkward it is for everyone that I asked to do it now. Right, I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to do a little smile, give a little smile or something. Perfect. Oh, shit. There we go. Perfect. Right, we're in. We're in. All right.
Sorted.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It's an awful picture of me. I look like I look like a slug. It's a good impression. Oh wow. Yeah, it's a good look. Strong look. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been a real pleasure to have you. It's been a great chat. It's been nice to meet you. Your journey's so inspiring. Have you got anything else to say to any would-be sports therapists or sports masseuses out there, or anyone wanting to get into the celebrity sports therapy game?
My advice, to be honest, doesn't even just hold from a sports therapy point of view. I think it's just for people who starting up their own business and working for themselves in general. My advice to anyone, especially in sport, but number one would be be patient, be willing to put a lot of hours in for little money, listen and learn off people who've been there and done it. They've got the experience. And four, be willing to take a lot of risks. Without taking risks, I wouldn't have worked with the people I've worked with. If I'd have just settled for a nice little clinic somewhere, I would never have ended up working with Tyson Fury and people like that. So I think you just really got to put yourself out there and believe in your own ability that you're going to make it work.
I don't think I could ever give better advice than that. Guys, again, thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it. And guys, thank you for listening or watching. I'm not sure where you are. You could be doing either because I use the same recording for both because I'm lazy. But I hope you learned a little bit. I really hope you picked up on some of the, I suppose, customer acquisitions tricks that you could use. At the end of the day, yeah, it's all about getting your personal brand out there and doing as much free shit as possible to build up your reputation. It really makes a huge difference. Tune back in next time. My episode on Friday, which will be released on YouTube on Saturday, on podcast on Sunday, is with Jarl Nevo, the CEO and founder of Genderscope. Tune back in for that. It'll be a real good one. This one, well, I don't really need to tell you because you'll already have seen it on YouTube. So tune back in for real-time advice. See you later, guys.